I'm an amputee, and today I'm going to answer your burning questions. Maybe we'll stick with regular questions. The burning ones are a little hazardous. Question number 1. What was the first thing you said when you first saw your stump and only one foot? To which a brilliant viewer replied, "It was a pun. I'm fairly certain. You know me too well. It was a pun." I'm actually very proud of this because, you come out of anesthesia and you're very loopy. You're not thinking straight, certainly not in prime pun condition. And yet, when the nurse asked me, "How are you feeling?" my first words as an amputee were, "Not bad for one foot in the grave." For the past 3 years, I fantasized of having a Q&A and pulling questions out of the leg. It just seems fun. What are the most common trip hazards? Are you comfortable with skirts? I wear skirts to church. Trip hazards. Dogs, cats, and small children. Boom. Would you like to pick one out? Why does the footless leg change? I'm magic, what can I say? If you film on your phone and it's in selfie mode, it gives you a mirror image, but if you're not in selfie mode, it doesn't. So if you compare the footage of it changes sides. Isn't that right, kitty cat? And usually I remember to edit that, but apparently I missed something. And she ate the question. This is not one question, it is 4. Question number 1, when is it time to make a new socket? Generally when it's too loose. When it gets loose, you pad it up with socks, but there's a limit to how many squishy socks you can stick in there before the whole thing is just too soft, too squishy to be stable. So for me, I feel like usually when I'm at a consistent 11 ply of sock, my prosthetist is like, yeah, we need to get you a new socket. I don't know how everybody else does it, but that's how I've done it. I let the people who've gone to prosthetic school tell me when to get one, but usually it's when it's getting really loose consistently. And that happens faster in the early months because you have a lot of amputation swelling, post-surgical swelling. That's the word I was looking for. Post-surgical swelling. And as it starts to go down, the circumference of your leg is going to go down too. And then the muscle's going to atrophy. So the most dramatic shrinkage generally happens in the months following amputation. And then over the course of years, that shrinkage process slows down. Now you know. Question number 2 on this 4-part question. How do you manage sweat? I do sometimes use an antiperspirant. I feel like that takes the edge off, but doesn't truly solve the problem. Mostly I just take my leg off whenever I'm just sitting around. So if I'm walking, leg stays on, but if I sit down, I usually will just do that. And then I'll take off the liner and let it air out, meaning both the leg and the liner have a chance to air out. So that way, the skin dries, doesn't get quite as sweaty, cools off, so does the liner. And that's what I do. Not always practical. The other thing, you can try these socks that go under the liner. My prosthetist calls them liner liners. I think that's pretty funny.
Would you like a liner?
Yes, I'd like a liner. With my first pinlock socket, those liner liners were game changing. I was like, these are the best. Why don't all amputees use them? And then a few sockets later, different liner. The liner liners just aren't working great for me. I don't know why. They just feel hot and irritating, and I get little sweat bumps or clogged hair follicles or something. Maybe it just depends on your precise situation and setup. I think it's worth having a few on hand, or rather on stump. That was a mic drop there. Random sweat related story time part 1. Last year when I started biking, it got so hot inside this liner that I had basically a sunburn, except no sun was involved in this equation. It was just a straight up burn, but it looked like I was tan from the liner down. And it was just because it got so hot in there. And sometimes the hair follicles get irritated and they look like little pimples. Fun. But recently I've been experimenting with getting like that face mask stuff that women sometimes put on their face to scare young children. and I stuck it on my leg to see if that would help with the little sweat bumps. And it seems like it might be helping, so I need to keep experimenting, but I'm optimistic. Oh, sweat story number 2, because I know you're all here for sweat stories, because aren't we all? So this year is like, I don't want to get a burn where my liner is, so I know what I'll do. I'll just roll down my liner. Like so, easy. So that way it gets a little bit of airflow as my legs moving and pedaling, and also less surface areas covered up. So that way I get less heat, but also less sweaty. And this has been working great for the past 1,500 miles I've been pedaling along. One day I was just pedaling, I was like, I live in a desert, but the air seems really moist, just like little spritz of moisture. And sometimes it's people's sprinklers, but this time there were no sprinklers around. So I'm pedaling thinking, this is odd. And then I glance down and I see a spritz of sweat coming from here, where the liner rolls down. And I realized all summer I've been spritzing myself in the face with the leg sweat. Kind of gross. Maybe I shouldn't tell that story. I'm telling it anyway. This is technically 4 questions, but don't sweat about it. Question number 3. What is the weirdest thing someone has said to you? I had a lady who wanted to reassure me that my leg would grow back. And she was serious. You never know, if I get some miracle grow from the garden story, it just might happen. Okay, last question. Enough? Never. Keep them coming. It looks like I have 3 legs. I'm going up in the world. I put it here. My leg grew back. That lady was right. It's a miracle. Random question. Tell us something we don't know about you. Okay, I'll tell you something. I'm camera shy. As in, the reason why there's so few pre-amputation pictures of me is because if there was a camera, I got behind it quick, because it can't shoot you if you're behind it. It's kind of like a gun. You have to go around the back, then people can't get you. The thing that helped me get past being camera shy was exposure therapy. It was brutal, because I do martial arts, and then my instructor would film us, because she has this theory that she could spend months telling you what you're doing wrong, but if she just shows you what you're doing wrong, usually 9 times out of 10, the thing that is wrong looks really stupid on camera, and you will immediately spot it. You will see that you look stupid. You will be mortified and never do that thing again. So she would film us every time we did something stupid and then make us watch it. And so I just got more and more desensitized, so I still didn't take pictures willingly. It wasn't until I started this channel, actually when I was preparing to start the channel, when my leg was amputated, that I started taking pictures voluntarily and video, because I had a reason to. I had a reason to get past my own hangups, which was to help you. I thought amputation can be very isolating, and just seeing someone else going through it and demystifying the process would help people who are facing it. So I'm actually very camera shy, but I've learned that you can get past these things if you have a good enough reason and you just keep at it. Exposure therapy goes a long way. I'm not very good at talking to the camera. At heart, I'm a writer. I best express myself when I write down my thoughts and then read them. I did not do this for the Q&A, so I feel kind of gun shy, because there's a camera there, and we already established that cameras are a lot like guns. Will this get demonetized if I keep saying that word? Hope not. Next question. Fun fact, if you were to put this into Google Translate, I can almost guarantee you that they would translate prosthetics as dentures. I do not have dentures. We'll assume that we're talking prosthetics here. Well, that question isn't for the faint of heart, is it? But we'll give it a go anyway. Врач допустил хирургическую ошибку, которая вызвала много проблем. Потом у меня была болезнь. Oh, geez. I hope that was understandable. I don't claim to be able to speak well. Now that we've got the hard one out of the way. Aha! We have another sweaty leg question. I already answered your question. Let me read this. Hang on. This is poetry right here. Sweat. Oh, sweaty leg, you are my biggest challenge, especially in the still warm months. I'm still early on, so the volume changes are their own challenge, but sweaty liner and my leg pistoning up and down gets things sore really fast. Next. Oh no. Have you tried adding a rubber cap to the end of your pirate peg leg to avoid slipping and to improve sensation? Yes, I only took a few steps on it without the rubber tread and quickly decided it was not meant to be and asked for rubber tread. So from the get-go, it's had rubber tread the whole time other than the first couple steps. However, it still slips out, not because of the traction, but because of reasons you'll see in this video here. Next question. Do you do fencing in real life or was it just for the pirate video? Of course I stab people in my spare time. Who doesn't? Die! Like you can stab people and not get sued. Who wouldn't want to do that in their spare time? I ask you. I sound so violent. I subconsciously thought the parafencing would not be as much fun as just regular fencing. Turns out I was wrong. In the words of this other parafencer, parafencing is like having a knife fight in a telephone booth, which doesn't sound fun, but it's totally fun. It's so much fun. Meaning the parafencing, not getting attacked in phone booths. Don't want that to happen. Parafencing, super fun. I've been doing it since June, I think. And I think I found my thing. I like this. Next question. I've noticed that in your prosthetics videos, one of the prosthetists is blurred out, but not the other. Why is that? One of them's running from the law. Don't tell. No, just kidding. He's not. Don't tell him I said that. You know how I said I was camera shy? Turns out I'm not the only person who feels that way. He was nice enough to let me film, but said, please just blur out my face. The other one didn't care, and my light just went out. Now, where were we? Oh yeah, I don't need more work in my life, so I'm not going to go to the extra effort of blurring out the person who doesn't care. That's why only one is blurred. He's a very nice person. He made me a pirate leg. Wait, this is our last question. Hope it's a doozy. Oh, okay, this was an in-person question from a kid. Do I name my legs? Indeed I do. This is Tony. This is my ninja leg. This is Rodney. And last but certainly not least, Taekwondo. A note about Rodney. Rodney was my first foot, but this part, the socket, changes out. So there have been a lot of different colors on this foot. I'm counting the foot as the basis for the name. This is Rodney, even though the other half of him changes. I've never actually walked with this half. It was a test socket where my prosthetist, the one who's blurred out, was bored looking at plain old black sockets, so he pulled out blue chevron. Now I have a random chevron striped leg that I've never actually worn the socket to. Did you enjoy this Q&A? Should we do it again someday? That rhymed. Leave a comment anyway, and I'll see you another day. Bye. That didn't rhyme.